Oh my god, guys, did you watch this year's Eurovision? I can't believe that insert nation won.
Ephraim, you really need to get off that TV. But Rue, welcome back. How's Lyndon doing?
I'd rather not talk about him. He's annoying as all can be right now. Something about not keeping my end of the bargain and hopping dimensions whenever I wanted to.
And consequences and all of that, yada yada yada.
Also something about me not being careful and it'll be the end of me.
Now, is Lyndon as annoying as a good contribution that doesn't win Eurovision, or as annoying as a joke contribution that isn't really trying to win?
What?
I would take away the cable.
What is Eurovision? I have no clue what you're talking about.
Ephraim, I would take away the cable.
Oh wait. Let's summon someone from this dimension. They could explain what Eurovision is. Hold on, give me a sec. And there we go.
Ah, we have a guest now. Thank you for pulling them in, Ephraim. Maybe you could help me here. Ephraim is mentioning something called Eurovision, and says you're from the dimension.
Let's start with introductions.
I can wait. I must know what Eurovision is.
I think it's a movie or a TV show.
Okay.
I apologize for my cohort's abruptness. Hi, I'm Ashura.
It's nice to meet you. I'm Tigz.
I am Rue.
As in, like, Rue the Day?
Yes, spelled the exact same way.
Very cool.
I am Ephraim, and welcome to the Delegation of Dreamers.
I guess I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we're going to ask you some questions that are not related to what Eurovision is, now that I have an inkling of what that is.
And I swear to God, Ephraim, if you bring it back, I will take away the cable.
Yes, we're going to ask some questions about you and what your life has been like, if that is okay.
Sure. I guess I've got nothing but time.
Well, first off, can we start off with your name?
It's Tigz.
Just Tiggz?
Well, that's what I like to be called.
By the fangs that I'm seeing, I'm assuming you're a vampire, correct?
Yeah.
Are you a pure-blooded vampire, or how do you go about becoming one?
What would a non-pure-blooded vampire be?
A non-pure blood.
I guess, yes. I became a vampire because another vampire decided to drink all of my blood and then give me some of theirs.
And why would they give you some of theirs? That's generally not something a lot of vampires do.
Right. I guess just because they saw potential in me. Dettel says that I have potential, so it must be true.
They enjoyed your chutzpah.
Yes.
I thought you had some major cojones, so to speak.
Yeah.
You mentioned that a vampire did that, and then there's somebody else. They also saw potential in you. Who is this, forgive me if I'm saying this wrong, Jettel?
Yeah, Dettel. In my clan, which is Gangrel, when you are first embraced, it is tradition that you will be left to fend for yourself for 1 winter, which is 1 year. And once you've survived your 1 winter, another gangrel will come and start teaching you how to survive beyond what you've already done. So that's not always the vampire that made you. And for me, it was Jettel. And we've been together ever since.
Ah.
Winter lasts an entire year where you're from.
Well, no, it's 1 winter, but also all of the seasons until winter.
Oh, okay.
And this region where you're from, would that be this Euroland?
I'm actually from America, but after I graduated high school, I went backpacking in Europe, and that's where I got turned into a vampire, and I stayed there for a while.
And do they all sing and dance in this Europe?
I'm sure some people do.
It sounds like a magical place.
Alright, I'm gonna call up Jeremy to snip the cable.
Jeremy, could you move the TV somewhere that AFM can't get them? Thank you, Jeremy. We're going to get you something different to do, like read a book.
But back to our guest. Tigz, can you tell me what are some of the things that your teacher, so to say, your sensei, so to speak, what are some of the things that they taught you?
Oh, Zetsum taught me everything I know. The first thing I learned was my clan, which is Gangrel, and I think the most important lesson that he's taught me is that I am not prey anymore.
Anymore. So humans are generally prey for the vampires. Understood.
Yes.
Seem to be a common occurrence through most of the worlds.
Yes.
And did they teach you of any abilities, or is it just simply you have fangs, can suck blood, and I'm assuming can't go into sunlight?
Yeah, no sunlight bad. I didn't realize this for my whole first winter, my whole first year, but vampires do have special powers. I think the coolest one that I've learned since starting to travel with Jekyll is being able to turn into a moth, but a people-sized moth. Mothman has always been my favorite cryptid, so that was exciting for me.
I'm sorry, a moth.
Yes,
Long,
And a human-sized moth.
yes.
long ma.
Rude, don't you star in the musicals as well.
When you're a moth, do you eat clothing or fabric?
Not that kind of moth. There's really only one kind of moth that does that. The kind of moth that I turn into doesn't have a mouth, but does have claws.
Interesting. No mouth but claws.
And other than the ability to fly, what benefits do you have to turning into a moth?
Honestly, not a lot. Really, just that it looks cool.
The aesthetic.
It's almost a detriment. I would be better off fighting, just ask myself.
You're in for the aesthetic. Got it.
So apart from turning into a moth, do you have any other special skills like singing or dancing?
No, but that doesn't stop me from trying.
Yes, like most contributions.
You know, I wish you would show this kind of interest when I actually am playing my music. But that's beside the point. I had a question. Since I don't know how it works in your world, are there any gods that you have ties to, or are gods not prevalent in that world?
There are gods in my world, and I'm not tied to any of them. The vampire god is Cain, basically not even really a god, just like the progenitor of all vampires. The first one ever.
I apologize. Going back to how you became a vampire, why were you looking for vampires? What brought this on?
Um,
People generally don't seek them out.
well, people generally where I'm from don't believe in them, but I do, and I always have. So did my mom. And when I was 12, my mom was taken from me, and I was just trying to honor her memory.
Why was your mother taken? Do you know?
Well, because she believed in vampires and aliens and uh, werewolves and other stuff like that. And like I said, most people don't where I'm from. So they decided that she was mentally unwell and took her to a hospital. And I haven't seen her since.
How did your father take this?
Surprisingly well. It was almost like he was on their side.
Was it a hospital or a prison?
They told me it was a hospital, but I don't really know.
Because usually hospitals let you visit the people.
I haven't been allowed to.
And what is the term for people like you, people that seek out what others don't believe? I don't quite recall.
Some people would call me a paranormal investigator. Some people would call me a ufologist or a cryptozoologist. Vampires call us hunters.
Well, I'm assuming you wouldn't call yourself a hunter now, would you?
No, because I don't hunt anymore in that way.
A cryptozoologist, is that the same thing as a crypto bro?
No, not even a little bit. The difference is that the things I'm looking for are actually real.
Ah, I see.
Hey, friend, we got a snarky one today. I can see why the vampires enjoyed you.
Yeah, apparently it's because I have a survivor's. Like, I seem like a survivor.
Yes. And if people where you're from don't believe in vampires and werewolves, then you're also a little smarter than most of the common yolk.
It's a good thing that you're a survivor. You're gonna make it.
A lot of us don't. Survival comes at a cost, and no one can pay that cost for you.
Can you tell me what are you currently up to, at least before we pulled you in?
Well, I'm pretty sure it was the middle of the day, but these nights I am trying to toe the line of what I think is going to be a political war.
Politics. Always very fun to mess around in when you know what you're doing. But what is the current, what you say, political war about?
Well, vampires where I'm from have two main political sects. One is called the Camarilla, the other is the Anarchs. And in my city, these two sects look like they're about to butt heads.
The butt head.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with you? But what plans do you have on stopping this?
I have none on stopping it. That's not even on my radar. It's really just a matter of if I think I should help one or the other along with my pack mates, or if we should help no one and just try to engineer it how we want it.
So either help your own faction or try to manipulate it for your own gain.
Right.
Intriguing.
I will say, I wish you the best of luck with that. That's not an easy undertaking.
That's a little bit easier when you are or know a vampire who's hundreds of years old and has seen it all.
Yes, age does give you an upper hand. I say that with 5,000 years under my belt.
He's a bit of an old soul.
Speaking of which, how old are you, Tiggs?
21, two of them being years in the blood.
That's quite young, even for a human.
Right, yeah. I'm not the youngest one in my pack, at least.
So where do you see yourself, like in the future, when you get old?
When I get old, I hope not very far from where I'm at now. I really enjoy traveling with Jetol, and I hope that when I'm quote unquote old, we're both still alive and together.
Can you tell us a bit about your faction? What are they like? What are your faction's goals? Or if there's anyone that you've befriended within it?
In my pack, it's pretty much, well, there are 5 of us. Me, my mentor Jetol, and my best friend in the pack is named Mac. And our goal is to survive, thrive even. We like to have a lot of territory in the woods, and we like to have a lot of hunting grounds. That's what we want to maintain out of this political war.
And I'm just curious as to this fact. I would love to hear more about your friend Mac, but I'm curious to the fact of how do you feel about being a human previously, but now you're using hunting grounds to hunt humans, your former race?
Right. We don't kill when we hunt, or we don't have to. But to feed and be satisfied enough for the night, you can leave the human alive and they'll have a hazy minute or two in their memory where you fed from them.
Okay, so your clan isn't necessarily malicious.
Right.
Have you ever had someone, a human, who happens to remember those hazy few minutes?
Not personally, but I've heard of it happening, and when it does, you just have to kill them.
See, that must be an unfortunate situation to be in for both parties. But, glad to know that it isn't particularly common then. It's a shame to see good resources wasted.
Yeah. You kind of get used to it, though. The killing thing stops mattering after a while.
And can you tell us a bit more about your friend Mac? What was your first interaction with them like?
I found him in our territory, and I was fully ready to get him out of our territory by whatever means necessary. And he had carved out this shelter out of like the dirt. And my dad was a Doomsday Prepper, so I've always known a lot about survivalist stuff, but I have never seen or done anything like what he had put together. So I actually approached him and tried to figure out who he was and what he was doing on our territory. And it turned out that he was a member of the same clan as me and had just come from somewhere else. And so it was decided that he would be allowed to use our territory too, and eventually he became a member of our pack.
Isn't it sort of a contradiction to be a Doomsday Prepper? Because if the Doomsday comes, then it doesn't matter if you're prepared.
It's more like if like a nuclear war were to happen, he had like a bunker, and we were in the middle of the woods, and I was homeschooled in the side of a mountain, basically.
Who are the nuclear?
I'm sorry?
A war with the nuclear?
Nuclear, like big bombs that would irradiate the earth.
Oh. So radiation bombs.
Wait, living bombs that come and attack you?
They're not alive, no.
Forgive our friend here, he's not necessarily always the brightest.
Well, that's why I'm asking these questions, okay? Trying to learn.
Yes. If you read some of the books that we gave you, you would have learned more than enough.
Now, why would these living dead bombs come and attack you?
They're not sentient, so they wouldn't, but they can be sent by someone else. Someone can bomb us, as it were. And enough of them, it wouldn't matter where you are. The whole Earth would be over, basically.
Oh.
But there are people who, build bunkers in the side of mountains and stock up on canned goods. And those are Doomsday Preppers.
A lot of tomato soup, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And, stuff that tastes bad canned, but they can it anyway.
Is that an insult to vampires?
Tomato soup?
Tomato soup is no. We don't eat food, so it's more out of our jurisdiction.
And a question regarding your pack, your tribe. What do I call it again?
A pack.
Yes. Do you have any alliances with others? And how were those formed?
As a pack, we don't currently have any alliances with others, mostly because both of the other political factions have wronged us in some way. As individuals, some of us are helping the anarchs.
And are there ever generally any wars?
Yes, but any war that happens between us has to be covert or subtle because we can't have humans finding out that vampires are real. So the wars are usually done through humans, like in the form of gang wars and stuff like that.
Crafty.
And do you have any abilities to help you out in the field and your hunts?
When we get embraced into our clan, our blood has power, certain disciplines, we call them, that you now have access to on virtue of having the blood that you do. That's how I can turn into the moth or, tell that someone else is a vampire. There are a lot of these, so many of them that explaining it would be difficult, but it ranges from being able to see the future to being able to control someone's mind.
And what about you?
My best one is, it's called Protean, and it's what lets me shapeshift, grow claws, and stuff like that.
Seems like an interesting ability to have.
Yeah, I mean, it served me well.
Now, I'm assuming you fought before, not just humans.
Yeah, other vampires mostly.
What are some of the hardest fights you've had?
Spars with Zetsum. He's really big and really strong, and I'm small and chubby and
You're adorable.
not very good at dodging his attacks. At least not as good as I would like to be. And then, landing a hit on him, he's like a freaking brick wall. So yeah, Spars with Zetsum.
Assuming you lost, did you almost die in that battle?
I have lost to Zetsum many times, but he would never put me at a point where I was almost dead.
Was there a fight that you almost died in?
Yes. Recently, actually, there was an anarch who thought that it would be a cool, fun, awesome idea to come into Gengo territory to try to court us as allies. I greeted him, told him to leave, and things ultimately went to blows, but what I hadn't expected was that he would be so much stronger than me. So when I went to strike him, he speared me through on massive talons, and I nearly died and had to be carried home.
Sounds quite an ordeal.
Yeah, well, it was mostly just embarrassing.
And are there any powers or things other than not being able to go into the sun that you dislike as a vampire?
I miss food. I miss really bad food, mostly, like sushi you would buy from a gas station or, the cheapest Chinese buffet you can find. That's the sort of food I miss.
Can you not have those anymore?
They exist, but to me, they taste like ash and they make me vomit.
Ooh,
I can only eat blood.
that does not sound like the best palate cleanser.
Isn't that the effect you get from all sushi that you get from a gas station?
Fair point.
I have. Well, originally I had only one question, but I have two questions, seeing as you might be from a world that I think has these.
Don't you dare.
Firstly, if you were able to be a god, what would you want to be the god of?
If I were able to be a god, I would want to be the god of shit posting on the internet.
Not sure what this internet is, but that sounds very fun. And my final question is, do you know what shaken milk is?
A milkshake?
Yes!
Yeah, it's ice cream and milk blended together. Really, it's super awesome. If you have never had one, I highly recommend it.
Yes, I've been looking for places that have them so that I might be able to mosey myself on to one of those worlds to try them. But your world probably would not be the most accommodating when I think about it, but at least I know that you have them.
Yeah, they definitely do exist, and they're really awesome.
I'm not sure if they would welcome you too well there, Rue.
As I said,
You're in our realm. You're a bit of a,
oddity.
no. Yes, that's a much better term than I was going to go with.
I see.
Excuse me while I go make some tea.
Now, while he's gone and making some tea, who was your favorite contribution in this year's Eurovision?
I heard that.
No.
I don't watch Eurovision. I didn't even when I was in Europe because
What?
I turned into a vampire almost immediately.
What?
And I day sleep. I was sleeping when Eurovision was on, and you can't wake up from that. You're basically a corpse.
What is the point of being alive if you're in your realm?
I'm back, and technically they're not alive.
True.
Alright, does anyone else have any follow-up questions?
No, I think I've asked all the questions I need to ask.
I mean, I could ask another one about Eurovision.
I will throw out the TV.
Jeremy's already moved it, if you didn't notice.
Oh, I noticed, but I'll throw it out. My last question is, what is your end goal? I'm assuming to get your mother back, but do you want to remain a vampire, turn back human? At the end of it all, what do you wish to accomplish?
Even if I could turn back human, which I can't, but even if I could, I wouldn't want to. I couldn't go back at this point. I couldn't go back to being prey. But my end goal is to find out who has my mother, where they took her, get her back. For most of my life, I thought it was some kind of Men in Black conspiracy thing. But now that I've been introduced to the world of vampires, I can't help but think that maybe it was vampires that took her. Maybe it was, the rule about not letting humans find out. That could mean that she's dead, but that could also mean that she was turned into a vampire or is being kept by a vampire. So that's what I'm trying to find out.
I'd wager she's still alive. If she's the mother of someone so tough, I'm fairly certain she's doing well on her own.
Maybe, but whoever took her must still have her.
Well, I hope you'll be able to find and free her. Maybe you two could watch Eurovision together.
I think it would have to be what they call reruns.
They have them once every year, though.
Yes, but again, Tigz here cannot be awake during the Eurovision.
I see.
Alright, Tigz. I'm going to let you go so you don't have to suffer through more of Airfirm's session.
Okay, thank you.
I wish you luck with your adventures. Good luck finding your mother and wish her our best. And give your father a good slap for me once you find her, just to prove him wrong.
Thank you.
Yes, and have a lovely awakening.